Look at this beautiful shop. This is the Sennelier shop near, just across the river from the Louvre. Alright, that was a fun visit to the art shop Sennelier in Paris. Very friendly people there, they speak English. I know a little bit of French, and I have my Google Translate app on my phone that helps a lot. I wasn't able to find much Gamsol. They said they were having trouble getting Gamsol in the country, so I went with this Sennelier equivalent, Studio S solvent. The lady at the counter there said it was the same as Gamsol. It's a busy river. Well, here's the scene I'm going to paint. Probably not with a big barge like that in front of me. Alright, so here's the scene I want to paint. I'll probably zoom in on that castle-like, chateau-like end of the Louvre, and a beautiful tree next to it. Pretty bridge kind of coming toward us. Nice drawing challenge. I'll start out with a drawing again first in pencil and try to do a pretty good job on the perspective and the architecture. I'm using Canson XL acrylic and oil painting paper. This is something that an artist I follow on Instagram, Patrick Okrasinski, I think is how you pronounce his name. Something that he uses when he travels. Pack's really light. You get 20 sheets and like a half-inch pad, and I just tape it down onto a birch board. Alright, there's the pencil sketch in. Tried to be pretty detailed in this central area and then looser out toward the edges, but everywhere I tried to get a nice sense of perspective. I didn't sketch in any clouds. I'll kind of play with that as I go, but I'd like the clouds to also follow the lines of perspective, maybe mirror the bridge a little bit, and also flowing away this way to kind of follow the swoop of the tree. So now I'll seal that pencil sketch with a light Gamsol wash. I won't scrub. I want the pencil lines to stay pretty visible, but I want to put some kind of tone down on the paper. Here are the colors I mixed up for the scene. I've got the deep blue of the high sky, a little more of a cerulean blue as it gets down closer to the horizon. Some cloud highlight and also highlight on the building. This is a kind of a general warm tone for the building. This is a little redder version of that, and this is a little grayer version of that, all in that same value. I kind of arranged my colors strangely this time. Shadow in the building, cool and warm. Shadow in the tree, and then highlight sun on the tree. And I'll just try to use these same colors to create the shadows and the reflections in the water and under the bridge. I can dip into my primary colors as well. I start with the number 3 Rosemary and Co Evergreen flat and start with the lightest sky color. I make sure my brushes are nice and clean from the painting session earlier using the new solvent I just purchased. I want a nice clean sky. You can see I'm following the value pattern I laid out in the earlier wash, which is set up nicely by now and is a nice surface to apply another layer of paint. I'm finding the Canson paper to be pretty absorbent. It's kind of sucking the paint off the brush very quickly. Next I get out my maul stick, which is a collapsible back scratcher, to help me start painting some of the main chateau details. I'm using as big a brush as I can and trying to avoid little details at this point. I just want to get the larger color and values down in a big pattern according to what I'm seeing before the shadows move too much. Now, there was a lot of people on the bank of the river eating lunch and drinking and enjoying the summer day. I'm cutting out a lot of funny dialogue. Leave it to say, Paris and the French and the tourists are very friendly, and they seem to love seeing people doing art, especially representational art. I got a lot of positive comments way before I was finished. A lot of people were saying they loved seeing someone just capture the pretty scene as it was without trying to make it too bizarre or too abstract. A couple of things I found challenging with this painting. The light was pretty inconsistent. The beautiful clouds overhead made for intermittent sun and shade on my scene and on my palette and easel. There were a lot of frequent but friendly interruptions. People, tourists, locals wanting to ask questions, chat, take pictures. I'm fine with that and often enjoy it, but it can really slow you down. I found having headphones in didn't even discourage them. Here painting the river, I'm leaving the water very thin and mostly just the wash that I initially put down. I find this helps to create a convincing but not distracting foreground. The Canson oil and acrylic paper is okay, but not nearly as nice to paint on as the Centurion oil primed linen sheets. I'm glad I brought some of those along on this trip. With the Canson paper, the texture is a little too consistent, kind of boring to paint on, whereas the linen has a little more randomness to the pattern of the weave. The Canson paper surface is also a little too absorbent for my taste. It sucks the oil out of the paint, makes it look flat, and it gets dry and tacky very quickly. But to each their own. Some people probably would appreciate that, as it makes the slipperiness of the oil paint a little easier to handle. Here's where it ended up. Pretty happy with it. I think it's hard to tell from the video since I'm in such deep shadow now, and the light's changed quite a bit since I started, but good exercise, good little warm-up, beautiful place to spend the day. Had a nice Parisian named Kamal who hung out with me for most of the painting, which was fun. As always, thanks so much for joining me. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit my website. I sell these little plein air pieces at a reasonable price because I consider them practice. It really makes me happy when someone likes my art enough that they want to hang it in their home. You can also sign up for my newsletter and stay up to date on my new work and shows and get a discount on original art and prints.